Hello and welcome to some extra coverage from Club 100 Racing's recent heavyweight sprint round from Ellough Park Raceway near Beccles in Suffolk. Again, there are no cameramen at work, but what we do have is 5 willing volunteers sharing their helmet camera footage to help the show. And that's the Club 100 way. Coming into round 2, Jonathan Elliott leads the championship with maximum points from wins in both the pre-final and the trophy final at a very wet and windy Buckmore Park. He's further extended his lead with a win in the pre-final here at Ellough Park ahead of Julian Clist and Tim Hill. However, after a poor time qualifying session, it's Josh Pettit, after coming through the pre-B final, setting the fastest lap in the pre-A to take pole position ahead of Julian Clist on grid 2. Johnny Elliott and Daniel French also carrying a camera on row 2, Stephen Docker, James Hattersley on row 3, veterans Tim Hill and Paul Williams on row 4, Martin Gurnett and Mike Townley, another one kindly providing footage, in the top 10. Roger Davis and Mark Turner will bring us footage from the trenches, but the lights are green and we're racing down to turn 1. On board with French. Clist trying to go round the outside of Pettit. Can he get it done? No, he can't, and Johnny Elliott has moved into 3rd place. On board with Mike Townley going down to turn 2. That's Martin Gurnett in the red ahead of us. Simon Lloyd on the outside, and Gurnett's gone through. And he's got past Paul Williams as well. And Darrell Lowe going round the outside, fairly busy in the midfield. This is great stuff from Club 100. Sweeping through the flat-out left-hander. It is turn 5. Will they all make it through? Checking in here with Mark Turner. Oh, you can't go round the outside of there. Back on board here with Roger Davis. That's Eric Mignon ahead of us. Looks as though Josh Pettit's been under pressure from Julian Clist at the hairpin, but he's hung on to the lead. Roger Davis losing out to Andy Katzentonis and nearly squeezed into the plastic barriers by Lenny Wood. Back on board with Mark Turner. I think he's picked up a spot there in the last corner, and we're on to lap 2. Down the inside of Simon Lloyd goes Mike Townley, while his brother Paul Lloyd goes down the inside of Roger Davis. Oh, that's getting fairly frantic, and that looked a little bit too naughty. Hopefully everyone's still running. I'll be surprised if there isn't penalties coming out of that incident. And the field is beginning to spread out. Checking back in with Mark Turner. He's caught up with our other camera carrier in the midfield here. Roger Davis ahead of us. Down into turn 7. Looking for a way by. Further forward, Dan French still in 4th place. Looking at the back of Johnny Elliott, who's looking at the back of Julian Clist and Josh Pettit. So everything's as it was off turn 1 on lap 1 here at the front of the field. Clist looking to close in on Josh Pettit for the lead. Just out of range. Flat out through turn 5 and 6, over the hump and then on the brakes for 7. Squealing tyres. Different tyre manufacturer these days. I don't recall tyres squealing like that. Elliott easing his way in and inside of Julian Clist and squeezing into the inside of turn 10. No compromise there from Johnny Elliott to get 2nd, and that's put Julian Clist on the nose of Dan French going down to turn 1. Is this a chance for French? He's under pressure himself. It's Stephen Docker coming through to 4th place, squeezing Dan French on the exit. Just a little bit of a shake of the head there. He's a little bit upset with that, and he's losing out as well to Tim Hill, who takes the opportunity to go through. So things beginning to hot up at the front. And look at the lead that Josh Pettit's got. It's about 8-9 kart lengths out of turn 5. French closing in on Hill, gonna throw it down the inside into the hairpin. No, thinks better of it. Clearly they don't want to lose ground on that leading quartet. On board with Mike Townley. That's Paul Williams ahead of us. He's been overtaken by Martin Gurnett and he's run wide off turn 1. This is a chance for Townley into 2. Oh, and Ben Daly has thrown it down the inside like he's got ABS on Roger Davis. It hasn't worked. Obviously, there isn't ABS in Club 100. Back with Mark Turner. Chris Murray there, I think. creating the sparks, trying to find a way past Darren Townsley, has failed, and he loses out to Roger Davis. So it's all circulating. It's a revolving door down near the bottom of the top 20. A cautionary look over the shoulder from Murray, and he's straight through on Roger Davis and almost around the outside of Darren Townsley. Turner was slow off the corner there. Look, it's 3 wide behind. He might get away with it. Oh, love tap. Oh, and somebody pushing through as well. A bounce along the curb on the exit. Frantic stuff in the midfield. It's always fun to watch. And we're not neglecting the front of the field. It's still pretty much as it was for most of this final. Josh Pettit's got half a dozen kart lengths on Johnny Elliott, Julian Clist and Stephen Docker. The real battle's over 5th place here with Tim Hill looking over his shoulder at Dan French. French looking for a mistake at the moment, not prepared to force the issue. Hill trying to stay in touch with Docker, and he's not, and it's Darrell Lowe behind them. Elliott misses his apex at turn 1, but Clist is not close enough to do anything about that. Back on board with Mike Townley, still looking at the back of Paul Williams and Martin Gurner going side by side into turn 2 and into 3. Oh, this is great stuff in heavyweights. I do like a tear-up. And Williams has got Gurner on the exit, and he's through to turn 5. And look what it's done for Mike Townley. He's put him right on his bumper. And Roger Davis and Mark Turner are having a right ding-dong down at the bottom of the top 20. And French is going through into 5th place. Now, can he hold him? Or will Hill come straight back at him at the last corner? And look at that. Johnny Elliott is now closing onto the bumper of Josh Pettit. We're at half distance. We're on to lap 8 of this 14-lap final. And it's warming up. It's boiling up nicely. We've definitely got what looks like 8 away at the front and then a gap to the rest of the field. Clist is closing in on Elliott as he closes in on Pettit. It's too close to call at the moment. Johnny Elliott has dominated the season so far, and it looks as though he's in prime position to put a move on Josh Pettit. Down at the turn 7, and it's getting really close now. Elliott goes in a little bit deep, and that'll give encouragement to Clist. And then we got Paul Williams bringing through the rest of the field in 9th place. Townley takes a look over his shoulder. Is there something coming down the inside? Not quite. He's trying to line up Martin Gurnett in the red there. And Gurnett is busy trying to find a way back past Paul Williams. But they are losing touch with the leaders. And don't be fooled by the light. It's actually very dark. Some of these cameras are having a bit of trouble coping with the low light conditions. So Pettit holding off Johnny Elliott, and it looks as though Clist is struggling to go with them. But they are dropping Stephen Docker back into Dan French, who's towing up Tim Hill, Darrell Lowe, and on the back of that group is James Hattersley. And that fight looks set to go on to the finish. Oh, Hill slow off the corner. Paul Williams is holding off the rest of the field, and Elliott goes down the inside of Josh Pettit at turn 10. And that's put him right on the nose of Julian Clist. Pettit got no room on the exit there from Johnny Elliott, and Clist is down the inside into turn 1. Pettit losing momentum off the last corner. And I think that was a deliberate tactic from no nonsense, no prisoners, Johnny Elliott. And French is trying to close on Docker. And we now have a 3-way fight for second place, with French trying to get across. And he's got to be conscious of Tim Hill, who hasn't given up on getting back past. So it's Elliott, Clist, Pettit, Docker, French. And it's a gap to Darrell Lowe now, James Hattersley and Tim Hill. That dust-up that started a lap ago here has changed the order somewhat, and certainly the gaps. Into the closing stages, we start lap 11, and it's beginning to look like Johnny Elliott's final. Mike Townley trying to close on Martin Gurnett, and Paul Williams has got away. But once again, Williams misses his apex at turn 1. giving hope to Gurnett that he can get back in touch. French getting a little bit closer to Stephen Docker. He's flat through 5. Oh, I think a little bit of a lift there in 6. Perhaps it's getting a little bit chilly and there's not quite so much grip, because that really ought to be flat out. Looks like Tim Hill's trying to get on terms with James Hattersley over 7th. Well, let's check back in with Mark Turner. What's happening back here? He's in 20th place behind Chris Murray. It's a real struggle. This is so competitive to gain many positions in the main A final. Everybody's got the track sorted out by the last race of the day. So it looks as though it's coming down to a two-way fight to the finish here. Johnny Elliott has got 3 or 4 kart lengths on Julian Clist. They've dropped Josh Pettit. Tim Hill's got back ahead of James Hattersley, as I figured he might, in that fight with Darrell Law. And Darrell's clipped the inside curb and gone deep into 7. And that fight is very much on again. It's a 3-way. We're back with Dan French. He's caught up with Stephen Docker, thinking about it. Oh, he thought about it and then had to have another go, and the chance was gone by the time he'd made his mind up. And Mike Townley has got past Martin Gurnett, but Gurnett is trying to come back at him. Townley's got him pinned to the outside. It's important to get a good run through this corner, and he's done it. And I think he'll hold him into turn 2. Yes, he will. Indeed, I think he may have lost out as well, Martin Gurnett. I think he might have dropped another spot there. Oh, Darrell Law fighting off Tim Hill through 5 and 6. It's getting very fraught here behind Dan French. Hill goes in very deep to 7, and that'll invite in Darrell Law at the hairpin, I'm sure. Back on board with Townley. That's Paul Williams ahead of us. Julian Clist, we're on the last lap, and he's not close enough to Johnny Elliott. It's going to be another maximum points haul. Chris Murray down the inside of Mark Turner for 19th. Everybody wants every position they can get. Everybody's got a championship goal, and these points at the beginning of the season might be important at the end. Murray trying to bully Mark Turner out of a move down the inside. Tried to squeeze him, then couldn't get it hauled up, and Turner's gone through. Right, back to the front then. Just a few corners from the finish. Johnny Elliott is going to win this one. Julian Clist takes a look over his shoulder. He knows the game's up ahead of Josh Pettit, Stephen Docker, Dan French. Tim Hill's come out ahead of Darrell Law and James Hattersley. Paul Williams will be 9th. So it's 4 wins in 4 races for Johnny Elliott, and a handsome lead in the championship. He's 28 points clear of Darrell Law, finishing 7th. Julian Clist 2nd place secures him 3rd place in the championship, a further 7 points behind. And that's your lot. The Heavyweight Championship, along with the rest of Club 100 sprints, moves on to Red Lodge on April 26th for round 3 of the championship. It's a new circuit for Club 100. It looks tight, twisty, and it's sure to create controversy and great racing. And we hope to see you there. Better yet, get your entry in. Thank you and goodbye.